right. Time to get this going. Hello, hello, good evening, good evening. Bernice, hello, Jackie, hello, Kizzy, hello. Roxanne, God bless you too. Lenore, hello, Tia, good to see you. Hey, Barbara, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We appreciate that. You joining us as well. Ruby, hello, good to see you, Charles. Audrina, thank you. Hey, Catrice, I think you owe me something. Barbara, salutations to you. Tanisha, still in Ohio. All right. Uh, Shanna, good to see you. Jareen, good evening. Monica, good evening and greetings to you. Michael, hello. Rebecca, hello. Candy, good to see you, Candy. Linda Wilder Bryant, oh my gosh. Alderwoman Linda Wilder Bryant, what a magnificent job you did this week. You fed everybody. You fed city employees, you fed me lunch and dinner. You don't know that, but thank you so much for what you and the LB4 um, Foundation have done and what you're going to do tomorrow. And I'll shout that out in a little bit. But good to see you. Good to see Ann Allen Westbrook on. Thank you. Mom's the man action. Good to see you. Lydia, hello. Cassell, good to see you from Jacksonville. Rebecca, it was good going to the Crystal Beer Parlor. Everybody, the Crystal Beer Parlor is open and the food was good. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Latrell, good to see you. Ansley, good to see you as well. Uh, Jennifer, hello. Jackie, thank you so much. Jean, hello. Tashi, hello. Jennifer, good evening to you. Hey, Don Baker, it was good seeing you in person today. I felt like it was Christmas. Karen, good to see you. Thank you so much. Tony, good to see you, Tony. Iris, good to see you as well. Brian, hello. Hey, Jackie, good to see you. Cree, good to see you. Hello to my real little sister Tasha. Thank you for joining us. Marjorie, hello. Patricia, hello. Good to see you. Megan, Cynthia, hello. Sharon, hello. Hey, yeah, Derek, we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. Good to see you, Julia, as well. I'm glad to have all of you on with us this evening. And as the names come up, we will certainly go ahead and we will share some of you that are on. I appreciate all the love I see coming across the screen. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for your love and for your support. And yes, I'm wearing these glasses because the typing is small. I can't see it. The typing's gotten smaller. Catrice, you know what you owe me. Reverend Hart, good to see you. Sharon, hello. Monica, hello. Mary, glad you're watching. Hey, Renee, good to see you. Margarita, hello. Cheryl, hello as well. Um, yeah, Shannon says thank Linda Wilder Bryan for lunch. Kathy, thank you so much. Vicky, hello from Guyton. Sandra, greetings from McDonough. Glad to see you. Miss Andrew Brown, hello. Tia, hello. Good to see Jeff. Jeff, do that thing now. I need you to do that thing in Jersey. We need you to do it now. Iris, good to see Iris. And Mary, thank you so much. Carol Ann, hello from Richmond Hill. Hey, Debbie Williams, we missed you a little bit on here. Andre, thank you so much. Glad to see you as well. Hey, Katina, um, waiting on a reply to your son. Okay, okay, I'll get it to you. Kim, hello, good to see you. Toya, hello. Doretha, all the way from Effingham County. Hello. Stacy, good to see you. Trey, I enjoyed mine too. Doris, hello. Salathia, hello. Carol, good to see you. Treating animals kindly. Ruby, good to see you as well. Yvette, thank you. Julia, thank you so much. Hey, good to see you. Henry Lee Perry as well. Sandra, hello, good to see you. Hey, Miss Lynn, thank you so much as well. Uh, Sandra, thank you so much. TJ, I'm still waiting on my lessons and for you to program my board, man. Come on, man. Come on, it's here waiting on you. Patricia, thank you so much. That's Brianda. Thank you for joining us as well. Pamela, good evening. Gwen, hello. Good to see you. Marcus, Ms. King, good to see you as well. Ivania, thank you. I'm trying to get some rest. It's kind of rough. Cynthia, hello. Condolita, I think we met your twin this week. Good to see you. Gloria, hello. Rob, good to see you all the way from Baldwin Park on the east side. Sheila, hello. Hey, Inky, Brittany, good to see you as well. Hey, my cousin, Brother Grayson, and to the outstanding Laurie Jones Lewis, who's just given us life like every day this week. She's been giving us life since she turned 50. Steve, good to see you. Good evening. Camilla Flintstyle Flynn, good to see you. Trish, hello, good to see you. Mary, thank you so much. Laura, hello from Effingham. Nadia, good to see you. Shimon, thank you. Mo, happy Friday to you. As well, Jimmy, good to see you. Janice, good to see you as well. Laura, hello. And India from Liberty County. Is that Tawana Wilson from New York? I don't know. It looks like her. Jasmine, hello. Hey, Stephanie, good to see you again. We appreciate you being with us as well. Kathy, good to see you. Takoa, thank you for joining us. Wayne, Minnesota says hello. Tell Minnesota we say hello too. Princess, thank you. This is our date night. This is what we do. Patricia, thank you. Tatiana, thank you. Dee, hello, good to see you. Alexis, good evening to you. Teresa and Christy, thank you. And TJ, if you're waiting on me, then I'm gonna call you tomorrow. Diane, good to see you. Linda, hello. Christina, I know. Justin, some help. I know. Thank you, Christina. I'm gonna go ahead and, because after a while, my voice just started going from me. But we're just so glad that you all are joining us. I'll do a couple more, and then we'll go ahead and we will get into it, and we'll do what we do every Friday night. We spend some time together. We spend quality time together. We watch Netflix and chill. We talk about things that are on our minds, things that are important to us. Janet, good to see you. Sabrina, hello. Thank you so much for joining us as well. Hey, Dina, thank you so much. I am really trying the best I can. I really am. Kathy, thank you so much as well for joining us. Hello. It is good to see you. I'm glad to see all of you in the house tonight. And we want you, Kate, good to see you. Two things we want you to do. We want you to go ahead and we want you to like our page, Mayor Johnson SAB. You can like me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Can you do that right quick? While we wait to get started. Yeah, Vanessa, why are you late? We started 8:30. You're 11 minutes late. Go in the corner. Let's see. Jasmine, thank you. Aisha, thank you so much. Good to see you. Felicia and Christina, thank you so much. Again, I'm loving all the love I'm giving. Thank you. Every now and then you need to know you're loved. So I appreciate you all doing that for me. So let's go ahead and get ready to get into it. We're right at about 500, so we'll just go ahead and get started. And then people who are late, they just might miss the good stuff. But we're so glad that you're with us. It's Friday. It's Friday somewhere, and it is Friday in Savannah, Georgia, at this very moment. And so and I know that if it's Friday, and we're in the middle of a pandemic, if it's Friday, and we don't have some place that we have to be, if it's Friday, our behinds at home, because the only turning up is turning up in our homes. Why? Because we keep the faith and follow the science. We know the coronavirus is real, and we are doing our best to get to the other side of COVID-19. And understanding that and knowing that and realizing that means that we have the opportunity to be prepared, that we will forego a little bit of fun right now so that we have the opportunity to see COVID in our rearview mirror. So that is why we started this. This was the opportunity. Hello, Juan, and uh, that to Leah. Good to see you. But this means that Kathy, good to see you. Is there Brandon? You downtown. Brandon, man, get out on the streets. Janet, good to see you, and Tracy and Elena. I'm glad that you're staying in because that's what you do. That's what you do when it's bad weather. You stay in. And right now we have bad public health weather right now, and when it's bad public health weather, you stay out of the way. And how you stay out of the way is you stay out of the way. And for those of you who know me, you know I'm often in the way. I have resolved that I am going to be out of the way because I need to be and remain healthy. And hopefully you feel the same way. And so that being said, that's the case. Um, we get together for our date night and we talk about stuff. We talk about things that are on our minds. Uh, we talk about issues that are happening in and around our community. And so that is why we want to make sure that we do what we can as we can to be able to educate, to inform, hopefully to uplift somebody. And so that is why we have this Friday night date night. And so we are so glad that all of you are joining us. So as we do this, a couple of things we want to talk about. And of course, the first thing we want to talk about is um, we want to talk about COVID-19. We want to talk about what our numbers are today. As you know, they continue to rise. Right now, we're at 5,526 confirmed cases, and we're at 74 deaths, 497 hospitalizations. I'll remind you just a week ago that we were just hitting the 5,000 mark. So we're almost at 600, excuse me, a little over 500 past that. Um, as many of you know and have heard now that we have a situation in which we had the first or the youngest person in Georgia to die of COVID-19 who died here in Chatham County. And so if it has not gotten real to you yet, if you haven't figured out that COVID-19 is for real, if you thought that it was a hoax, if you thought that it was a prank, if you thought it was some type of government conspiracy, if you thought that it was something that we just made up to just try to scare people, um, you know, right now you have, and I've had even more recently, more people that I've known here in the Savannah area to die of COVID-19. The latest being a 7-year-old, a 7-year-old young man, no underlying health issues, but yet he's no longer with us. We have parents that had to bury their child. I don't have any children, but I've been told that the worst pain that is ever imaginable is the pain of burying your child. Um, and that is the unfortunate part about it. Some of you know what that pain feels like. I know that all the woman, Linda Wilder Bryant, knows what that feels like. The pain, because it is so unnatural. It's so um, out of the normal way. It's so counterintuitive to who we are. We expect that we will bury our kids. Um, we expect that. And we just don't ever expect that we would ever have to. Um, we expect that our kids will bury us. We would never expect that we would have to bury our kids, and particularly at 7 years old. Um, you know, 7-year-old kids are not supposed to die. You know, at 7 years old, the life is just wide open for you. I mean, you have everything in front of you. I mean, you don't know the realities of life, but yet now you're in a position where you are, um, you know, it's rough. And so our prayers, I know our collective prayers go out to the family of this young man. Um, it's just, it's crazy. So if you don't think it's real, if you don't know of reasons why you should wear a mask, if you don't understand the reasons why maybe we should keep our kids out of school for just a little while till we get this thing under control, I don't want another parent, another grandparent to feel the pain that this family, who I know, has felt and is feeling. So, that being said, I want to introduce my first guest. We are so glad to have him with us. He is someone who is well known and is well respected in around the country as it relates to um, COVID-19. He is someone who is the Hubert Professor and the chair of the Department of Global Health at the Rollins School of Public Health and Professor of Medicine in the Division of Infectious Diseases at Emory University School of Medicine. He is also the principal investigator and co-director of the Emory Center for AIDS Research and the co-principal investigator of the Emory CDC HIV Clinical Trials Unit. He just the bomb diggity, and I will tell you that he is someone that cities across the state of Georgia have relied on. I have certainly relied on his counsel. It is absolutely clear that he knows what he's talking about, and we are just so blessed and happy to have him on with us. And so, if he's ready, and looks like he is.
Hello, sir.
Dr. Carlos Del Rio. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. I know after a long, hard day, the last thing you want to do is to have to come and talk more about medicine and all of the things that have just consumed our consciousness across the world over the last 6+ months. But we really appreciate you coming on and talking with us for our Friday Night Live. This is our date night because, see, all the folks here, they're home because they're following the science. They're not out having fun. They recognize they need to be in the house. They need to be out of the way. And so we're just glad to have you with us.
Delighted to be with you.
So what is the one thing that folks need to know? And we'll get into numbers a little bit. What's the one thing that you think people most misunderstand about COVID-19?
I think the most important thing is that we can all do something to prevent getting infected. I think that, this virus is small, you don't see it, but there's certain things we can do. And I tell people, if you follow the 3 W's, which is wear a mask, watch your distance, and wash your hands, you can prevent yourself from getting infected.
Right, but when you hear so many things, and you've been practicing medicine for quite some time, and people have said that this is just a version of the flu. It's just like the flu. What would be your answer to that?
It is about 20 times worse than the flu, and it's the amount of death that we're seeing as a result of it is much, much higher than the flu. So I tell people this is not the flu. This is the flu on steroids. This is the flu and the devil together. This is a really bad version of the flu.
Well, and I think we agree. So here in Chatham County, we're up to 5,526 confirmed cases. We've had 74 deaths. And as you're probably familiar with, we had a 7-year-old, now the youngest in the state, to pass away through the COVID-19. We've talked about and we've preached about masks, as you may know. Savannah was the first to do a mask mandate, and people said we were crazy. What do you say?
I say you were right where you need to be, because in fact you want to do something before you have thousands of cases.
Right.
And if you do it early, you can prevent a lot of damage. So I think you did exactly the right thing.
And then folks say, well, we shouldn't have to wear a mask. Could you explain the whole thing about why and how masks help to slow down the spread of COVID?
Yeah, so it's very important, and people don't understand it. So it's important that we talk about it. We in the hospital, like when I'm seeing a patient with COVID, I wear a mask to prevent myself from getting infected. But the reason we wear a mask in public, the reason we wear a mask now in the hospital, for example, we are all masked all the time. And the reason we do that is because in this virus, you can be infected and transmitting the virus and not have any symptoms. And even if you're going to develop symptoms for about 2 to 3 days before you develop symptoms, you're actually actively transmitting the virus. So you wearing a mask, I wear a mask to protect you, and you wear a mask to protect me. So it's no benefit for me wearing a mask if nobody else is, because I still have a risk of getting infected. But we know from different models that if 85, 90% of the population wear a mask, we can actually slow to even stop the transmission of this virus 100%.
Wow. And so for people who have this aversion to wearing masks, and they say, we'll have herd immunity, what would you say to something like that?
Well, I think there are two things. Number one, I recognize that wearing a mask is unnatural. It's uncomfortable. It's not natural. I like to see your face. So it's not normal. But I also say these are not normal times. So it's a sacrifice we need to do to deal with this pandemic, to save people's lives. Think about it in a very Christian way. You're doing this to save somebody else's life. You're doing a sacrifice to save somebody else's life. Herd immunity is something that is very hard to achieve. Right now, about 5 to 10% of the population has been infected in this country, and we've already seen 150,000 deaths. In order to get to herd immunity, you would need about 60% of the population infected. That'll be 6 times what we have right now. So think about 6 times the number of deaths we currently have. That'll be 1 million people dead. I mean, I don't think, are we willing to accept 1 million deaths just to have herd immunity? I hope not. 1 million deaths in my mind is way too many deaths.
So, and there's been criticism, of course, and I've heard people all kinds of stuff. I've heard the craziest stuff about being a governmental conspiracy. I've heard all of these things, that numbers are overinflated to scare people. What's been your experience? I know obviously you work at Emory, which is one of our nation's hospitals.
My experience being a doctor at Emory and at Grady Hospital is that this is for real. Right. We're seeing people die. We're seeing people come in very sick. We see a lot of people coming in really, 25-year-old in the ICU and then, 3 days later dead. This is for real. This is something that I'm very afraid of. And, if I can tell somebody, if I want something, it's not to get infected. If I want something, it's to prevent my family from getting infected.
Well, we're taking, if folks have questions, you can type your questions and I'll see them, I'll ask them. So are you essentially saying that many of our deaths actually could have been prevented?
I'm saying that many of our deaths could actually have been prevented. There's a new model saying that by December 1st, if the current trajectory continues, we're going to have in our country, currently we have 150,000 deaths, we're going to have 300,000 deaths. But if we were all today to start wearing a mask, we can decrease that by 90,000 deaths. So instead of another 150, we can cut down to 40,000 deaths. So, 90,000 preventable deaths if we started all wearing a mask today.
And of course, there's been, rumors and things about, well, young people get it. Old people get it. Young people don't get it. What's been your experience and your research regarding that?
Young people, everybody gets it. Young people frequently are not sick. Old people tend to get sick. But I would also say that I've also seen young people get sick. So just because you're young, you're not immune. And more importantly, if you're young, a teenager can get infected and then give it to their grandparents and then give it to their parents. And, at the end of the day, We all live in families and we all live together. And the risk of getting somebody else older than you infected is actually for real.
Somebody said, what is the craziest conspiracy theory you've heard regarding COVID-19?
A lot of conspiracy theories, but I think the biggest conspiracy theory is that this was created by the Chinese to destroy the world. And, that's not the case. This is a virus that came out of animals. And, yes, started in China because a lot of things in China make it likely to occur. But actually, this is what we've been training for years and years.
All right, another question. Is it safe for our children to be in school during these times?
I'm very concerned about going back to school. And I think if we don't bring the amount of virus in our communities down, schools are not safe.
All right.
The best thing we can do, I tell people, you want to open schools, we got to close the bars. We want to open schools, we got to wear a mask. You want to see football in the fall, we got to wear a mask. I mean, I think we have to make choices, right? But you can't have it all.
Jesse wants to know, why won't the medical community accept HCQ as a treatment? Many doctors in Savannah are successfully keeping patients out of the hospital.
Because it doesn't work. I think I follow the science, and I was very excited about that treatment before, but after seeing the data and after seeing what we call the standard of care, which are randomized controlled trials, hydroxychloroquine unfortunately doesn't work. I wish it did.
Is it true that people can give it to pets, but pets can't give it to people?
There's some transmission to pets, but the reality is very unlikely, so I wouldn't worry about that.
Is it true that COVID-19 is not a seasonal virus and will never be?
Well, we don't know. We haven't been around, so I think all we would do is speculate right now. It may stay around or may not. We don't know.
Will COVID-19 survivors eventually suffer heart damage?
We're very concerned about that after you've had COVID-19, especially severe COVID-19, you may have significant health damage to your body, yes.
What about public pools and recreational facilities?
Again, those are fine. Most things that are outdoor are probably fine. I'm more concerned about things indoors. I'm more concerned about going to a bar, parties inside houses, etc. Being outside is pretty safe.
And we've seen cases you're probably more familiar with in the North Atlanta area, the YMCA,
Right.
with those the Gwinnett County schools. I saw a picture of some kids in school, a bunch of kids, nobody had on a mask.
Right.
I mean, what are they not getting about this? I mean, and who's helping to drive, the thinking that this is okay?
Well, I think we're just not giving the right message, right? And I think we're not doing a good job, and we're giving too many messages that are opposed to each other. And as I said, I think what we need to do is have consistent messaging and consistent in enforcement. I think enforcement is very important. Unfortunately, we just, in that camp, masks were not required. They were recommended but not required. And when something is not required, people don't do it.
As someone said, if it's been proven that restaurants and bars spread COVID-19, then why aren't they closed?
Well, restaurants and bars are closed environments. And when you have a closed environment, a crowded place, you're more likely to see transmission. That's the risk with bars and restaurants. I mean, if you're in a bar and restaurant by yourself, you're not going to have a problem.
Right. So, I mean, I guess the question is, why aren't they closed? Why aren't they just shut down?
They should be shut. They should be shut down. If you look at the recommendations from the White House Coronavirus Task Force recommends that when you have more than 100 cases per 100,000 population, you close bars and restaurants. And Georgia right now has 237 cases per 100,000 population. So we're over twice what the White House would say is unsafe.
And I guess this is a little personal to me because I just felt like we opened too early. We were in April, and we were opening up in April when our numbers were still on the on increasing, and yet we have kept everything open as best we could to keep it open, and yet we're surprised. When did this go from being public health issues to becoming political issues?
I think from the very beginning it was political, unfortunately. And I think the problem is that also a problem that I've seen is that we are trying to say, is it public health or is it the economy? And I think the challenge is to understand that public health, you need a healthy population to have a healthy economy. You cannot have a healthy economy if you don't have a healthy population. So there really is there's really no dualism between those two.
If you have had the virus, can you catch it again?
Unlikely.
What about mutations?
Well, people are worried about mutations. I'm not that concerned about mutations. At this point in time, this virus seems pretty stable.
And should I take a flu shot if should I even worry about flu this year?
I would definitely worry about flu, and I would take a flu shot.
Is it necessary? Is it possible to have the flu and COVID at the same time?
Yes, I think it's possible, and that's something that we are actually very worried about.
And there was a question about cremations, that in some states for COVID-19 patients, cremations were required. Are you familiar with that?
I am. And it's not necessary, honestly. There's no risk of transmission there, but some states are recommending cremations.
What do you think? What about transmission through a HVAC system?
We think it's unlikely that it's transmitted that way, but many buildings, especially old buildings, have changed their AC systems and have put HEPA filters and other filters, and I think that's a good idea.
And so what about changing filters? Would that have anything to do with it?
Unlikely.
Wow. And what age do you suggest that people wear a mask? What age affect people? Because the interesting is people will tell me, oh, I have asthma, I have bronchial issues, but then probably shouldn't be out anyway.
You shouldn't be out anyway, correct.
Right. But yet you want to be out, say, I don't want to wear a mask.
Well, but then if you have bronchial issues, you also don't want to get infected, right?
Right. And there's been multiple, although no one who's complained to me about it has ever, they weren't alive in 1918.
Correct.
Even know a whole lot about it. Are there similarities or differences with the flu of 1918?
It's very similar. Even the resistance to wear masks is very reminiscent to what happened in 1918. It's very similar, and you got to remember that in 1918, 50 million people died around the world, including 1 million Americans.
Right. Will a pneumonia shot help lessen COVID?
No, it won't help lessen COVID. It will help lessen pneumonia.
It will help with pneumonia.
Right.
So we're in summertime and people are out. And then, of course, Savannah is not as bad, but, the temperature changes. It goes down and people are in more. What is your biggest fear regarding that?
My biggest fear is actually when people are inside in the air-conditioned room and people are in crowded places and people have parties. They go to the beach and being at the beach is fine, but then they go outside, they have a party, they invite friends over, and that's where the transmission is going to happen.
So we have young people and they're having the times of their life. Many are going back to college, and they're not around mom and daddy anymore. They've been cooped up for months, and they're now ready to live their best lives. What's your advice?
My advice is that, this is your opportunity. This is your year. This is when you can actually make a difference. I want young people to be remembered like the young people were remembered in the Second World War, because they won the war. They won the fight. And the young people, it's in your hands to actually control this virus. I wish the young people were out there, pushing masks and doing this and doing whatever it takes to not be passive, but to be active in controlling this virus.
How many COVID strains are there out there?
How many? Probably 2.
Is it like COVID-19A and COVID-19B?
Yeah, pretty much. One comes primarily from China. One comes primarily from Europe.
Okay. And there was actually a really good question, and it went right by me. Do you compare yellow fever and COVID?
No, not at all. One is a virus transmitted disease, and the other one is a viral transmitted disease, and by a viral transmitted by an insect bite, by an arthropod, by a mosquito, and the other one is a human-to-human transmission. COVID is very similar to other respiratory viruses like the flu, but with that respect, right?
Right. So churches in Savannah, houses of faith, synagogues, temples, mosques, have generally remained closed throughout this time. And there are some people, we got to get back into church. What's the problem with doing that?
Well, the problem again, I think about the things that you need to avoid are crowded places, close contact with people. And in churches, a lot of people are close together. But more importantly, in churches, people sing, and you're screaming, you're singing, and those are
some churches they do scream,
and those are very risky activities. I mean,
right.
There's been so many outbreaks around chorus members that I think singing in a choir is one of the most dangerous activities there is.
And I've seen them, touch your neighbor, grab your neighbor by the hand, turn and hug your neighbor. I mean, it's just, that's just kind of
what we do. Looking for it.
Right.
Looking for it, right?
Right. I think, are the stats high on false negative results?
Some of the tests give you a lot of false negatives, but not many. Some of the rapid tests give you false negatives, but in general, you can also have false positives. We saw the governor of Kentucky, or Ohio. The governor of Ohio test positive in a rapid test, which was false positive, and then he tested again and it was negative.
So someone here is talking about funerals and huge funerals. Would funerals kind of just fall in the same type of way as church services?
Pretty much, yeah.
And I think Albany's outbreak started.
Albany had a huge outbreak related to 2 funerals.
Right. And so we've been trying, why are we seeing so many negative antibody results in patients who tested positive for COVID?
Because the antibody tests are not very good. We still need better testing, unfortunately.
So you mean I let them poke me in my arm, tell me I didn't have it, and it may not have been right?
The tests are not very good, unfortunately. The antibody tests is a little bit of the wild west right now.
Right. And then, so we're talking about vaccines, and actually here in Savannah, the first person in the nation who's on this
injected there, right?
Dawn Baker, who's watching right now, was the first person in the nation for the phase 3 trials. Why is working toward a vaccine so important?
Oh, it's critical. Having a vaccine is going to be critical in getting out of this mess. And I'm really proud of Savannah being the first place that had somebody injected in this trial. And again, anybody who volunteers for a vaccine study, in my mind, is a hero, because those are the people that are going to give us the answer.
So where are we right now, as you understand it, with vaccine development?
Well, there are several vaccines. There are hundreds of vaccines. 5 to 6 of them are actually in phase 3 trials. And they're the ones that are going to tell us whether they fix or not. And whether one of the 6 works or the 6 of them work, who knows? I mean, the more the merrier, right? We're going to need a lot of vaccines out there.
But now I'm familiar with clinical trials lasting for years and years and years. And we're doing this like in a very compressed time frame. Are there any concerns that, we're maybe rushing this, it's going too fast?
No, I think it's being done fast, but it's being done carefully. And I would tell you, as one of the investigators in the vaccine studies, this is being done very fast, but very well.
And we were talking about Dawn earlier. I mean, she wasn't injected with COVID, right? I mean,
no.
Trials, I mean, you're injected with the COVID, right?
No.
So how does that go? I mean, what are you injected with? I mean, it's just a medicine.
You're injected with a protein that it's a very sophisticated way of making a protein that produces that your immune system then reacts to and produces antibody against COVID.
What is an mRNA vaccine shed?
Yeah, the mRNA it's a vaccine that just basically takes a little piece of the virus and produces it into the genome of the virus that then goes into your body to produce antibodies against the virus.
And should we be scared of vaccines?
I think we should be thankful for vaccines because they save us from so many diseases, right?
Right. Well, Doc, I really appreciate you taking the time again. I know you're home. I know you've had a hard day, but I want to thank you again. I know that you have provided advice to cities, particularly early on when we were looking for some medical direction. And so I just want to
delighted to be with you. And again, I want to recognize the work you've done because you've really been a leader in this. and you're doing a good job for Savannah.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't always know that, but we're trying the very best we can.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doc. I appreciate you.
Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you. That is Dr. Carlos Del Rio. We appreciate him. So glad to be with us on this evening. And wanted to talk with somebody else who actually has a experience with COVID-19. And this young lady, I am so happy to see. I am so happy to hear. She is a sports reporter. Sports, right? Okay, you know you're muted, right?
I do both news and sports. I'm a weekend
sports. She is from WTOC. She is Lindsay Goff. Lindsay, it is so good to see you. Thank you for taking the time to be on with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So I want to show a picture first, and then after I show the picture, then you can kind of tell us your story, because I'm not sure that we were always sure that you were going to be okay, which is why it's such a blessing to be able to have you on with us today. Well, while I'm looking for the picture, you have survived COVID-19.
Yes, which is weird to say. I'm a COVID-19 survivor, I guess. And I recently, so while I was recovering, I didn't really check my work email or anything like that. It kind of stressed me out. So I stayed pretty unplugged. And I recently just went through my inbox and seeing the numbers, especially here for Chatham County, and like realizing that I'm one of those statistics is pretty sobering. And it's kind of a weird feeling as journalists. We're not used to being part of the story that we cover. So yeah, this picture that you guys see was part of my 11-day hospital stay at Candler. I don't know what day this is. Honestly, I was on a lot of medications. It all kind of ran together for me, but, I got sick in June. I turned 27.
Let's go back a little bit. I mean, you're young. It was
Yeah.
27.
I just turned 27. I've been sick
Right.
since I was 27.
Right. You're an athlete.
Well,
You're an
I carry
athlete.
all my reporter gear. Like, I'm fairly active. I'm healthy. I didn't have any like underlying conditions or anything like that.
And you were living your best life. You were working and doing your thing.
Yeah, I was, out reporting, and, at WTOC, we've taken a lot of precautions. As soon as the pandemic started, they began having us all work from home. All of us reporters, only key people are actually at the station. They got us mic stands so that we can interview people from 6 feet apart. We got masks, we got hand sanitizer. So we were being really safe. And as a journalist, you assume some risks. We go to crime scenes, we go, you go places where it may not always be the safest. And right now, it's a hidden thing that we're kind of facing. So anywhere we go out in the field, we could potentially pick up COVID-19, which is also kind of scary. Another one of my coworkers had it pretty early on, Mariah Congito. Unfortunately, she did not wind up in the hospital and had it a little easier than me, I think. So I'm glad for that. So yeah, I got it in June. I was really tired for 3 days, and I'd had a long work week at the RBC Heritage on Hilton Head. So I thought I was tired from covering golf and just a long week. Then on June 23rd, I began having the flu-like symptoms, pretty much every coronavirus symptom that you hear about, except I never had a fever and I never had shortness of breath, but the chills, the muscle aches, I eventually lost my smell and taste. So as soon as I started having all of that, I began my self-quarantine. I went to the health department's free testing, and I was able to get tested that Friday. I showed up too late that Thursday. I didn't realize just how many people would be there.
Right.
So I got turned away on Thursday, and I kept quarantining. That was the only time I left, was to get in my car and try to go get tested. So Friday, I believe it was the 25th or 6th, the 26th, I was able to get tested. I got my results back on the 30th. as positive. So I continued to quarantine, and around July 4th, 5th, I started to feel better. I was optimistic that I would be able to go back to work fairly soon. And a couple of days after that, I started feeling my flu-like symptoms again, but with a very severe abdominal pain. So I let that go for like a day and a half. It didn't get better. So I called my primary care physician, and he told me to go to urgent care. Urgent care referred me to the emergency room, which is how I wound up at Candler. They ran a bunch of tests, and they tested me again for coronavirus. This was on July 9th, that evening. I tested positive again for COVID, which at that point had been about 2.5 weeks since I initially had symptoms. And as many people know, 2 weeks is kind of the recommended quarantine period. So that kind of freaked me out that it had been more than 2 weeks and I still tested positive. So they eventually found out that my appendix had ruptured and caused a pretty massive infection all inside of me. So they tried to go in laparoscopically and remove my appendix. They thought it was appendicitis and later decided that it was caused by COVID. I'm not the only patient that they saw apparently that had gastrointestinal issues and coronavirus. So they removed my appendix and part of my colon and my cecum. They tried to go in laparoscopically with 2 small incisions and they weren't able to get it out. They said my appendix was about the size of a baseball. So I have like a 6-inch incision along with the 2 small ones. So I woke up the next day at Candler with 17 staples in my stomach and a tube down my nose and into my throat. And I was there for 11 days. And you know, if any of the staff at Candler that took care of me is watching this, I would like to thank them. They did an incredible job, and I knew that it was serious, but they didn't tell me so much to where it scared me while I was there. Right. Now I realize that I could have died, honestly. Right. And that didn't fully occur to me at the time. They were really nice and kept me from getting freaked out and took really, really good care of me. So I've been off of work since June 20th, and I'm still at home trying to get my strength back and fully recover.
So how is life different for you? I mean, you know, we're thankful that you survived, but obviously you didn't come through this totally unscathed.
Right.
So how is Lindsay now different than Lindsay then?
I don't have energy. The smallest things make me really tired. I have to take naps. I have a lot of fatigue.
I have to take naps too. I think I'm old.
I always liked naps, but now I kind of need them to function at this point. Hopefully that doesn't continue, but I'm still having like a few symptoms. I have really bad headaches pretty often. And the scariest part, I think, for me is almost mentally, preparing myself mentally to go back out in the field and continue to report throughout this pandemic when I am able to go back to work. That's scary, if I'm being honest. Right. And just that the doctors don't fully know everything about this. The doctor you had on right before me was saying, you know, they think that COVID survivors may have heart problems in the future. Right. Lung damage, we're at an increased risk for stroke, I've been told. So it's a lot of the not knowing that's kind of scary. I was told in the hospital I may have Crohn's disease. So I'm gonna have to go to a gastrointestinal specialist and do some follow-ups and stuff in the near future to find out more about that. Hopefully I don't, but if I do, we'll tackle it when we get to it. But it's scary, all the unknowns.
Now you're not from here.
No, I'm from Kentucky.
So, you know, I mean, your parents and those who loved you could not come see you in the hospital. I mean, you know, usually the inclination of parents, I'm going to see my baby, I'm gonna be right there. But the reality was they could not be there, right? Right.
And my mom was a mess. She was gonna hop on a plane and sit in the parking lot. And I was like, you know, it won't, because I was in the COVID ward. So even I couldn't have any visitors because I was COVID positive. And so, yeah, my grandparents, my mom, all really upset that they couldn't be there. My mom was able to come down and pick me up when I got released from the hospital and take me home. And she cleaned my apartment and got me settled in and ready to go. But that was really hard, just not having anybody here. And my coworkers were awesome. My friends were awesome, and they helped me out when I needed help. But you know, I'm 27, but I wanted my mom there.
You're right. Yeah, I mean, you're grown, but you wanted your mama.
Right. Yeah. I was in tears when I called her the night I went to the ER, and I was like, they're taking me back for emergency surgery. My appendix is ruptured and I'm going to have to stay. And she was like, well, do you want me to come? And I was like, I mean, you can't, you know, I'm COVID positive. You can't come. And so she was really, really upset. And I think the surgeon called her at like 2 a.m. when I got out of surgery, and updated her and told her that she had a very, very sick child. And if you say that to her now, she'll still cry. It's impacted my family too. I think it's taken a toll on them emotionally. And then it's upsetting when you hear people say that it's not real, or that, you know, you're exaggerating your symptoms to scare people, because I am a member of the media, and that's just not the case. I told someone, I was like, I don't even have the energy right now to make something up.
So, I mean, people, and I want to respect your time and energy, but, you know, people are often very, very private about their health. I mean, and you have gone like in a very big way of telling people what you've gone through. Why?
Well, for a couple of reasons. First, I'm a millennial. I live on Twitter. If I wasn't tweeting, I don't know how I would have kept myself entertained in the hospital. But the bigger reason is because as a journalist, I ask people every single day to tell me about some of the worst moments of their lives, to share their battles with not just COVID, which, you know, we've asked for people over the past few months, but with anything, to share their struggles and their stories with us. And so I felt like, as a journalist and being transparent, having covered this story since February, it's only right that I share my experience. And I think I'm in a unique position because I do have a platform. I am younger. I'm 27. I didn't have any underlying conditions. And I can tell you I have had the flu. It's not the flu. So I just felt like if I ask other people to share their stories with me, it's only right that I share my own. And I didn't expect it to get as much attention as it did. That was surprising, to say the least. But I just felt like it was the right thing to do. I told everybody when I tested positive, and I didn't say a whole lot the 2 weeks I was quarantining. But after I woke up from the surgery and I was in the hospital, I felt like I needed to kind of update everyone and share my reality with COVID-19.
So, what message would you have for young people who, and you've seen the pictures, I mean, they're having a good time. I mean, we're out, they're downtown Savannah, they're other places. I don't need no mask. I don't need no social distancing. What would you tell them?
I wouldn't wish what I've gone through on anyone, ever. It's been terrible. It's been pretty miserable. I've been out of work for almost 2 months. People find the mask uncomfortable and they don't want to wear it, but it's a lot more comfortable than being hooked up to IVs and having a tube down your throat and staples in your stomach. And, I do have an extreme case. Some people are able to recover at home, but I still just wear your mask and be careful and stay at home. We could beat this so much quicker if we could all work together and, like you like to say, follow the science and stay at home. Catch up on your Netflix, your apartment. You can find stuff to do, hang out with your dog. Just be careful, because it's not worth the one night out. It's not worth going out to eat. It's really not. And it doesn't just happen to older people. The 7-year-old that passed away, that really touched my heart. And I can't imagine what that boy's family is feeling and how scared he must have been, because I was scared and I'm 27.
Right.
So I can't imagine what that must have been like for them. And that just really puts it in perspective. If you need a reason, just think of that. Um, it's not worth it.
Well, I want you to know, if you did not know, a lot of people around here were praying for you. All
That
over.
kept my spirits high.
I mean, they were. And once we learned what was going on, people, and I mentioned you one night here. I mentioned you during one of my press briefings, and so people here were praying for you and pulling for you, and we're just so glad we are that you're okay. And we believe you'll get even better and you'll get stronger. And we're looking forward to seeing you back doing double duty on the news and sports on W2C. But don't do it until you feel up to it.
I want my doctors. I have a whole team, and they're watching me pretty close. But I'm, recovering at home now, and I'm keeping everybody updated on the positive steps I'm taking forward. Like I was able to walk my dog yesterday. That was a big step for me. So I appreciate everyone that sent me prayers and positive thoughts, and there were a lot of really kind comments. And when I would wake up in the hospital, just going through all the nice things that people had sent really kept me occupied because I was by myself, but also kept my spirits high. So I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate that. And just be careful, everybody. And I can't wait to be back on your TV screens in your living rooms while you're staying at home.
That's right. That's right.
Soon enough. And when I am, I'll be hopefully back to 100%.
Well, you are the epitome of Savannah Strong. I want to thank you for taking the time to share your story with us. And hopefully people will heed what you're saying and realize this is serious. And, wear a mask, wash your hands, and keep your distance from folks. If we do that, we can get to the point where this could be in our rearview mirror. So Lindsay Goff, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson.
All right. Thank you, dear. And that was Lindsay Goff. And we want to thank her so much for taking the time to come and be on with us. And we'll keep her in our continued prayers. So 2 other things I think we're going to talk about. I think 3 other things. And then, well, maybe 4 things. It's Friday night. We ain't got nothing else to do. Let me get us. So I don't know. Well, let me go there first. I don't know who Wyatt K. DeVille is, but bruh, if you're gonna be on here, you're gonna respect the page and you're gonna respect the people on the page. Now, people have been very nice to you, but if you keep harassing folks, you will not be here any longer. So that's your first and only warning. I hope you get it and you understand it. We not doing that in here today. So just want to let you know. We'll deal with that. Where am I heading this weekend? I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here and then I'm going. I'm here. I tell you, I've been staying out of the way. I go to. I run up to to do a church service on Sundays, and that's it. For the most part, I'm staying out of the way. But tomorrow there is something special, and I wanted to shout out again Alderwoman Linda Wilder Bryan, who's been doing some great things. I wanted to just share something. She's been doing this all week long, all week. She's been feeding the employees of the city of Savannah and first responders, and I want to thank her so much for doing that. Tomorrow, the Pennsylvania Avenue Resource Center presents the Back to School Curbside Giveaway. This is free backpacks and school supplies. This is August the 8th, which is tomorrow, from 11 a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. This is sponsored by the City of Savannah, by the LB 4 and After organization, CareSource, Family Promise, Mercy Housing, SCAD, and AmeriGroup. And you want to talk about creating power from pain. As many of you know, Alderwoman Bryan lost her son, Lawrence Bryan, the fourth, some time ago. And from that time, they created the LB Before and After Corporation. And so from this, they have been giving away bikes, they've been giving away school supplies, they've been feeding people. They have just done wonderful work in Savannah. And I'm just so happy that they have turned their pain into power in the memory of their son, Lawrence the Fourth. So, tomorrow, if you get a chance, if you need it, if you don't need it, don't go around there. Don't go around there if you don't need it. Okay, so just want to make sure you know that. If you don't need it, don't go by there. And if you go by there, get enough for you and keep it rolling. But it's the Pennsylvania Avenue Resource Center. It's the back to school curbside giveaway. The Pennsylvania Avenue Resource Center is on Pennsylvania Avenue. It's at 425 Pennsylvania Avenue. It's across the street from Savannah High School. They're giving away free backpacks and school supplies from 11 a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. And you know I'm going to have to go by there and support the LB Before and After organization. So expect to see me slide in there, and I'm going to slide right back out. I'm going to slide to the left, slide to the right, and I'm going to crisscross. So again, just want to thank Alderwoman Wilder Bryan, who is out there doing the work. She is out there working it. So I'll post this on my page so that you all will have it, and you will see that on my page and get a chance. You know somebody who needs it, please come on out. So again, next issue is voting. Want to remind you that early voting is over. On Tuesday, there is a runoff election. And so on Tuesday, we're asking you to go back out and to vote. There is only a Democratic runoff only. There are no Republicans in this particular runoff, but we've been asking people to early vote, but we're hoping that they've gotten the issues resolved from before. So, please go ahead and take the time, make the time to go participate in a runoff election. I will tell you, I am the recipient of the blessings of a runoff election. And in my election last December, we had more people to come out for a runoff than we had to come out for the general election. If it was not for people coming out in the runoff, I would not be mayor. And so I recognize that there's a need for people to go back again. So I'm asking you, we have a couple of commission races up for grabs. We have a coroner race up for grabs. And we have, I think that's it. We have a U.S. Congress race. We have a Georgia House race. We have a county commission race. We have a coroner race. They're all up for grabs. Again, these folks have been working hard to, and then we have a county commission race as well. But they've been working really hard to prove themselves worthy to you. They've worked hard, particularly in spite of all that we're going through. Campaigning is hard by itself. Campaigning during COVID is definitely difficult. So please take the time, make the time to go out and do that. We would appreciate it. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, sir. And the census. The census, of course, very, very important. We want to make sure that you are counted. We're at 52.4%. We know we could do better. Go ahead, take a moment to do the census. www.my2020census.gov. My2020census.gov. My2020census.gov. So if you voted and if you've done the census, do me a favor, go to your pages and tell people to vote on Tuesday. Tell people to do their census. My2020census.gov. Go ahead and do that now. Make sure also to like this page. And finally, I'll go ahead and mention it next week. As you know, the City Council is addressing issues related to the 2020 millage rate. This is something that we do every single year. It is based on the values that are presented to us from the Chatham County Appraiser's Office. And I know there's been a lot said about that. as it relates to me, all I want is, tell the truth, whatever the truth is. And the truth is that we do this every single year. Depending on the valuation, in other words, if there's more money coming in from revaluation or more money coming in from more properties coming online, you might have more money. In either case, the city council, who has not taken a vote yet, has two options. The first option is to maintain the millage rate exactly the same. Now, with maintaining the millage rate exactly the same, what happens is this. The state calls maintaining the same rate an increase, because basically what they say, because of new valuations, that really the tax burden should go down. So our tax burden has gone down 0.117, 0.117 mils. It's very hard to figure it out. It's very convoluted. But the fact is that if we maintain our current tax rate, the state of Georgia says it is a tax increase, which is not a tax increase, but the state says it's a tax increase. The other option is we can adopt what's called the rollback rate, which is 0.117 lower than the current rate. So in that case, the city would have about $600,000 less in income, which means we would have to find $600,000 in some types of cuts to be able to make. The difference between the keeping the millage rate and the rollback rate is minuscule. For example, I think it is $24 a year for someone who has a $500,000 house. So if you have a $500,000 house, if we took the rollback rate, you would save $24 a year. Essentially, that's it. And so the question is, for our community and for our citizens, is really, is the reduction worth the cuts? That's the question. Is the reduction worth the cuts? And that is the time that's the thing that we need to be able to talk about. For me, I see it both ways. This is a horrible time to sit here and talk about tax increase. The word tax increase, it drives something in the middle of our spirits. Tax increase, how dare you? But the reality is that the rate remains the same. The state says that it's a technical increase because you did not adopt the rollback rate, which is 0.117 lower. If you have a house that is $250,000, you're really talking about what, half of 24? So you're talking about what, $12 a year? And if you have a house that's less than that, again, so that is what the issues are. And I want to make sure that you understand what that means. And again, I haven't made up my mind. And so for those who said I made up my mind, they tell it a straight out lie, I made up my mind. And council has not made up our mind. We have been instituting public hearings to give people the opportunity to tell us what they think. Now, on the other end of it, people want all of the services they want. But, and we're willing to give you all the services that you want, that you're willing to pay for. And, the fallacy is people say, you're raising our taxes. Well, no, this is our taxes too. I own homes here. So whatever it is, we all pay it too. So I just wanted you to understand what the issues were. I wanted you to understand, where we were. Pamela asking about why new chandeliers. They're not chandeliers, they're lighting fixtures. We are renovating City Hall. City Hall is a historic building. And when you fix a historic building, you have to put historic things in there. So, whoever comes up with that crap, I don't think they're chandeliers, they're lighting fixtures. And they have to look like things looked in the historic times. And when anybody who knows anything about historic preservation, that's how that has to go. So I wanted to make sure that you knew very clearly what the situation was and what that was all about. I think that's very, very important. Furlough the top 10 paid employees 2 days a month. Well, I mean, no, if we're going to furlough everybody to include council members. That is something I don't want to do, but I mean, if we do it, then I think that's something that is we would have to look at. If this keeps on, we might have to furlough. We have, I think, budgeted really well to the point where we have not had to. Keep in mind when we talk about furloughing folks, we're talking about furloughing citizens. As you know, evictions have started going on, and next week I'm hopefully going to be talking to you to talk to you about some exciting things we're going to hopefully do with the CARES money. I mean, I want to be able to do some things like helping people not be evicted, helping mortgage folks that have fallen in arrears in the city of Savannah, helping businesses to get back on the right foot. So I'll tell you more about that hopefully next week. So I think that is about it that I have. Let me see. Let's see. Furlough everyone. Brandon, well, I guess that's easier said than done. I'm not trying to furlough people if we don't have to. Because again, furloughing people also means that they can't make their ends meet. They can't make their ends meet. They're not paying taxes either. And so what does that mean? Then they end up in a court. They end up being evicted. So again, I'm going to do all I can to make sure we take care of our own folks. So child trafficking rally Sunday at noon at Johnson Square. Thank you for letting us know about that. Juan, thank you so much. I appreciate your kind words. We appreciate that. We're doing the best we can. Brandon, I pay more taxes than most folks. So we pay taxes. We pay taxes. So just want to make sure you know that. We. Sarah, let them go so they can get a new civilian job. That's, anyway. Will I attend? Will I attend what? I don't know what you're talking about. Will I attend? I don't know. You tell me what it is that I'm trying to attend. I am paid by taxes. Okay, and I pay taxes too. I'm willing to bet I pay more taxes than you pay. How about that? Let's see. We don't run a charity. No, we don't. We run government services. And these are individuals who have dedicated their lives to public service. They protect you on streets. They pull you out of fires. They treat your water. They pick up your trash. They conduct your services. I think they're worthy of some consideration. I don't know about a rally on Sunday. I will tell you that it's at 12 o'clock, and I'm usually in worship around that time. If I can make it, I'll try my best to make it. So that's my answer. And so don't. All right, so I'm not even going to say some of this stuff. We have a responsibility. All right, it's a rally about child trafficking called Save the Children. Okay, again, I think my secretary responded fully. Well, what she said, what she meant was, I play for a church, and and we do virtual worship services. So I play for the church. The church is out of town. So on Sundays, that's usually where I am. So if I can get back in time, I have no problems with being among you. Certainly, I'm against child trafficking. And again, I'm just learning of this, I think, today. So if I can get back in time, I'll hope to be there at some point during the rally. Julia, thank you. Rebecca, thank you. So we are just so glad. We're appreciative of all of you, appreciate for who you are and what you do. And yeah, you can't please everybody. You just do the best you can. So goes until 2. Well, if it goes till 2, I'll be able to come by. Elise, thank you very much. Furloughs are not good. And, you know, just because someone was furloughed, you know, I mean, I don't want somebody to be furloughed because I was furloughed. I mean, again, we have to do what we can, because the difference between us and corporate America is that the reality is that if we don't have enough police officers, if we don't have enough firefighters, if we don't have enough sanitation workers, if we don't have enough folks treating water and treating sewage, then those are issues of quality of life for everybody. I remember when we just went to social distancing on our trash trucks, y'all had a fit. My trash ain't picked up, my bulk stuff ain't picked up, and y'all were just going off. And that was with us with a full complement of people we had on social distancing. So let's talk about furloughing. I mean, that becomes a sanitation issue. I'm not willing to risk our health for that. So I love you, Miss Marsha. Good to see you. Miss Christina, thank you. Yes, Paula, I do play the piano. And so, you know, we do it virtually. So I play for the service and when we do it online. So thank you, Kim, for praying for me. Good to see Vivi. Tanya, thank you. Rebecca, thank you. B. Lynn Roberts, thank you. Remember to mask up. Linda, thank you so much. Sarah, as a police officer and sheriff's deputy of 25 years, I back the blue. I've worn a uniform. So, but I do believe on the other end of it that police officers have to do right. How I felt about school reopening, I don't think our schools need to open right now. You know, until we can make sure kids are all right, and people work with them. Thank you, Dr. Priscilla Williams. Thank you, Dr. Hart. We appreciate you. Dave, the millage rate, I believe it does. I'll check to make sure. Hey, Elisa, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Appreciate you asking a good question. Miss Mary, thank you. Marty, thank you. Richard, thank you for your prayers. Miss Monica, thank you. I appreciate you as well. It is 9:49. So now that you've spent your time with me, it's time for you to spend time with those that you love. Thank you so much. We will be better. We will do better. We can make it through this. We have to ignore the noise. We are going to stay focused on who the enemy is. The enemy is not each other. So for those of you who want to fight me, it takes 2 to fight. I'm not fighting you because I realize this is bigger than you. My enemy is COVID-19. And so if you don't see me engaging in your foolishness or engaging in all that kind of stuff, I mean, whatever that is, I mean, you know, we could debate the issue all day long, but in the end, the personal attacks and, and some of y'all, I know what you're trying to do. I mean, don't think I don't know. Just because I don't see doesn't mean just because I don't say anything doesn't mean I don't notice. So I know what's going on. But remind you, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers and rulers of darkness in this world, and spiritual wickedness in high places. And for me, I remain focused on COVID-19, who is our enemy, not you. So if you want to fight me, you will be fighting by yourself because I am focused on COVID-19. That's where I am. So anyway, thank you so much. We appreciate you. God bless you all. Ms. Flo, thank you so much. Thank you, Juan. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Charlesetta. Thank you so much. Hey, Leisha, thank you. Dr. Bradley, thank you. And if you still need people for your clinical trials, I will make sure to put that out there. Good to see Loto. Good to see you, Monica. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, and Cassell. Thank you so much. I'm not trying to preach, but I mean, sometimes you just got to encourage yourself. And so, Judy, as you're right, no weapon. No weapon. We're going to stay focused. Robert, thank you so much. We appreciate you. LaMonica, thank you. Felicia, thank you. Dr. Young, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be throwing scripture without a license, Dr. Young. Please forgive me. It just happens sometimes. It just happens. I'm sorry. Jacqueline, thank you. Annette, thank you. Elder Flossie, thank you. Camille, thank you so much. And Paul, I will repost about that. Sharon Renee Smith Haswell, happy birthday to you. I'm glad you had a great birthday. Miss Glenda, thank you so much. Hey, Dr. Webb, thank you so much. Brett, thank you. And we will call it a night. So may God bless you. May God bless Savannah. We are Savannah Strong. Good night, everybody.